'cause it's a daily vlog with Steven Fuller.
Guten Morgen, Vlog 2, Tradition. I have an interesting relationship with tradition in that I'm not a person that is driven by, traditions much at all, really. And yet, in saying that, I'm not oblivious to the fact that tradition can be important to a lot of people and that certain traditions have value. But I think the problem that I have with tradition as a concept, very similar to nationalism in a way, is I think a lot of people treat tradition as this thing that's got like built-in inherent value. The idea being, oh, people have been doing this for a while and so you should respect it, and that it gets this automatic built-in reverence and respect merely because it's been done before. And there's no need to evaluate it or think about it because people have been doing it for a long time, and so you should just accept it too, and thus saith the authorities. That's the part that really makes me bristle a bit, because there's all sorts of things that, there was a tribe, and one person had an idea, and it halfway worked for him in this one circumstance, and then he comes back and is excited because this thing worked for him and passes it along to the tribe, and they start this tradition, and regardless of whether it still worked or not, they felt that it worked, and it worked enough of the time that it became this thing that they did. And then they taught their kids, this is what you should do, and this is what you shall do, and then that became a rule, which became culture, and it gets just perpetuated like that. Over the long arc of history, some of those things are good and worthy of being passed down, and many of those things were not, but they were just what you did. I've got kids. I've got 3 kids, and I'm not a really, beholden to tradition type of person. But I have to think about this and parse it out because I do want my kids to take some things with them, but I'm not under the delusion that everything that I teach them is something that they're going to take with them for the rest of their life. I think parenting in a lot of ways is I want to try to screw my kids up as little as possible along the way and hope that they maybe got a couple good things too. That's like my honest definition of parenting. They're going to get screwed up. I'm under no delusion about that. I'm not a perfect dad. And I just want to do it as little as possible, and hopefully they have some good memories along the way too. I think some parents get this sort of, I'll be generous and maybe not call it a delusion, but some parents really think that they are going to impart a worldview to their kids, and it's just not how it works. It's not what you did. It's not what I did. You get to the place where you take the things that you were given and you evaluate them and you decide what's going to stay and what's not. And it's a part of your story, and it doesn't mean that you don't, love your parents. I know my kids love me and I know I love them, but it'd be silly of me to sort of, in a bit of arrogance, assume that I'm going to give my kids a complete worldview and they're going to take it. No, that's not how it works. Why am I talking about all this? Ironically, it's going to come back around to music because I've been thinking about this idea of tradition in the context of written music. And I know that seems really roundabout, but I've wanted to get into this habit for a while of writing and notating every song that I write. Which is a lot of work, and I don't know that I really want to do it, as far as that it's fun for me, but I do want to do it from the perspective of posterity. I've been doing some research on Ancestry.com for my family's history and lineage, and I just found out recently that my dad's side of the family traces back to Meiningen, Germany, here. I want to go up there as soon as the kids are out of school. They get done this week. I actually want to take a trip. It's 3 hours away. Go up there and just check it out and see where my ancestors in the early 1800s, lived. And it's totally changed now. It's not going to be probably anything like what they experienced, but still, just to be there and to walk on that same land, I think it's kind of a neat thing, which is a weird thing for somebody who eschews tradition as not important. But I think that long form, like when you strip away like the dross, when you take tradition at sort of its most primal, biological tradition, and then, like human culture over the long form. Like when you look back at your ancestors, like you're gonna find, divorce and affairs and, major moves and scandal and, and totally normal lives and sadness, and like deaths of children and things. You're gonna find all of these things that sort of are the human story over and over and over again continuously. And they were just trying to make it, They were trying to do the best that they could with the circumstances that they had. And some of them just royally screwed it up. Others of them did okay. Others of them did amazing, few and far between. And that's kind of neat. That is a sort of tradition that I can latch onto. One where you just appreciate who they were and what they were trying to do at the time, without feeling this need to perpetuate whatever their thoughts were. I don't know if that makes sense. So, music then. I think there's something kind of cool about being able to pass on some emotional idea in the form of music in the exact way that I played it. And for somebody down the line somewhere to see it at some point and go, huh. There's the big popular example of all of the classical composers, but they're world famous. I have no delusions that my music's going to get that kind of reach. But, if it touches one person somewhere along the line, that there's some bit of posterity that somebody takes, 10, 15 minutes out of their day 70 years from now and finds this thread and spends time with it, that's neat. It's kind of a cool thing. And so I want to start notating out my music, for my kids, for one thing. Like as they play more, I hope maybe that one day my grandkids or my great-grandkids will be able to see something that I wrote and go, oh, cool. That's like the extent of the goal, but you never know, you never know like what could happen. And so I just want to do it as a discipline for me and as a way to express myself and to kind of get it there. So, I don't know, what are your thoughts on tradition? Do you value it? Do you think I'm wrong? I'm open to arguments, although like I've thought about this a lot and I don't know that I would change, but I'd love to hear dissenting opinions on it for sure. So yeah, let me know what you think.